We are live this evening. Yay. Okay, let me get it together. Good evening. It's Tuesday, everybody. Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live, December 9th, 2025. We are live. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am still tripping on the fact that it is already the 10th, no, the 9th of December. I have to look at my calendar. Welcome to the live. I am so glad you're here tonight. Please do put down here where you are viewing from. Give me a hi and a hello. And welcome to everyone who is tuning in tonight and to all who watched my live later on, repeat or whatever you want to call it when it's not live. Thank you so much for watching. We have a great live for you tonight. A lot of cruise news that I want to share with you, some interesting things going on. And I have a question for all of you before the live even gets started. I want to know, have you ever been on a Christmas cruise? I've talked with my family about doing this, and I want to. I really want to do a Christmas cruise. So, hello, Tiffany from Texas. I see you. Yay. I see you. Have you ever done a Christmas cruise? Hello, pretty pennies. I see you. Hello. I want to do one. We we have, some people would say it's a big family. A lot of people would say it's a small family, but we all get together, and it's usually at my place, and we have a lot of fun. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, sometimes New Year's, sometimes New Year's Day, sometimes not. But we get together and we have lots of food, games, fun, opening gifts. It's also my mother's birthday on Christmas. Can everybody hear me? Tiffany, would you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, because I can see you. I'm so excited. I'm already excited about the live tonight. So we do a lot of celebrating, but we also do a lot of spending money. Do you spend lots of money for Christmas? Okay. So we spend a lot of money, and we were kind of contemplating what the menu would be for this Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and birthday celebration. And we were calculating it, and we were like, oh, lots of money. Elaine, I hope that I see you here tonight too. I did send a text message recently. But I'm so glad to see all of you here tonight. Yay, it's a celebration. Well, I sat down and calculated it, and I think it would be cheaper to go on a cruise. What do you say? Now, are cruises more expensive during Christmas time? Usually, yes. Can you get a great deal on a Christmas time cruise? Absolutely. And just like most things in life, it's like the proper planning. Plan it out. Plan it out. Don't wait till November to decide, let's do a Christmas cruise and then look for a one for a good price. Don't do that, because it's not going to happen. But I was thinking we would all be together. Nobody would have to cook or clean up when you're tired later. I wouldn't have to throw away all the wrapping paper leftovers and everything. I think a Christmas cruise, of course, can I wrangle everybody to do it? I think a Christmas cruise would be so much fun. Now, we've gone on cruises during December, but never during Christmas time. I want to know if you've gone on one. And if you have, was it great? Was it a jolly holiday? I believe it is. We've been to Disney, not on Christmas, but during Christmas time. We've been on cruises during that time, but I think to actually have a Christmas cruise would be 2 thumbs up. I'm really thinking about it. Tell me if you have been and what ship you have been on. All right. I want to take you through the Christmas. I said the Christmas. I want to take you through the cruise news. The cruise news. There is a lot of cruise news going on, and just in a 1-hour live, I don't have time to give you all of it, but I am going to give you some of the biggest highlights. And I would love to hear some feedback from you, because some of this is wild. Wild. I'm a cruise fanatic. I don't like giving the news about bad cruise stuff because I don't like it. But I'm going to just give you the news as I've received it here. I'm going to talk to you about some good stuff first. Let's get some really happy, positive things in cruise news. Let's talk about that first, because I like cruising. All right. MSC Cruise Lines. We've talked about MSC over and over. As you know, I live in Texas. MSC just came to Texas. I've done MSC cruises before, and I think they are top notch. I like MSC. All the mumbo jumbo that you've heard about their food is bad and their service is bad and their entertainment is bad. Well, whoop-de-doo. It wasn't true for me. Now, it might have been true for whoever said it, but none of that was the case. And they have exceptional pricing. MSC has come out with some cruise news that I want to share with you today. Let me pull this up here. It says MSC Cruises adds a new family activity at its private island. So as we know, lots of these cruise lines, almost all of them, I guess, especially the mainstream ones I'm talking about, have their own private islands, right? And it's just another way to extend their opportunity to make money, if it's truth be told. But also it's another opportunity for us to have like entertainment and offerings through the cruise lines itself. You know, if we get on a cruise ship and we go to Aruba, well, Aruba's going to make all the money. But if we get on a cruise ship and go to, let's say, Norwegian's private island, Norwegian still gets the opportunity to make the money. So I'm sorry, hold on a second. There you go. I got a lot of stuff going on here at once, so forgive me if I'm looking the wrong way. All right. So MSC, they have a beautiful private island called Ocean Key or Ocean Cay, however you want to say it. It's a beautiful private island. Beautiful. I had a wonderful time on MSC's private island. And if any of you have ever been on their private island, chime down. Let me know what your thoughts are. I said thoughts. What your thoughts are about their private island. Well, they have come out today giving us some information about their new plans, and it's exciting. Okay. It says that MSC is planning to give us some new offerings starting in 2026 in their Ocean Key. So let me just give you a little background of what's already there at Ocean Key. Now, this private island used to be an industrial site, but they've revamped it, and it is now an island that has 8 different beaches and also a marine conservation center so that you can learn all about the efforts that they do there. In like coral conservation and things like that. Also, some of the itineraries for MSC Cruise Lines, when they go to their private island, they even stay overnight. And oh my gosh, they have this big, beautiful lighthouse there. And there's this like lighthouse show, these different lights and a beach party. It's a lot of fun. They really have something good going on there. Well, they're going to add to this island. And this is what they've said. They want to give us new entertainment options, and they're talking about beginning January of 2026. So they're not playing. They're not waiting. They are coming out the gate and coming out strong. They are going to do this at the beginning of the year. What is that? 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks from now? So, all right, MSC. It says beginning in January of 2026, MSC Cruises will introduce an expanded lineup of family entertainment activities at Ocean Key. Now, it says that these are designed as an extension of the cruise line's onboard family programming. And it's not, when they say family, they don't just mean like kids, they mean family, you know. So they're going to be rolling these out in phases, though. So although it says January of 2026, everything's not going to be ready just right at January. So let me tell you some of the things that we can look forward to on this new private island. Well, it's not new, on the new phasing of the private island. First of all, wellness. It says wellness and sports programs will be offered, like a restorative beach retreat. What do you think about that? Wellness. They'll be offering things like fire and ice challenge with hot yoga. I don't know what that is. Ice baths and sunrise yoga paired with sound healing meditation. So I know, listen, if you're into yoga, this probably sounds like a lot of fun. And maybe if you're adventurous and you just want to try something new, this sounds like a lot of fun, right? Okay, let me read it again. Fire and ice challenge. Okay, so challenging yourself. Hot yoga. Now, I've definitely heard about that. Ice baths and sunrise yoga paired with sound healing meditation. That's exciting, right? Offerings. Now, are these offerings going to be free? That I don't know, but I'm pretty sure not. Yeah, I would. Yeah, Tiffany says she would definitely do the yoga on the private island, especially if it's offered, either free or at a greatly reduced cost. Wouldn't that, can't you just see this beautiful expanse of private island and blue and turquoise ocean waves all around you, music going and that happy vibey feeling. And then you get out there and you're doing your yoga. Can you tell that I don't do yoga by the poses? Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. I could definitely see that. That would be fun. The ice challenge and all that. I think that would be cool. Okay, but that's not all. That's not all that they're offering. It says here augmented reality treasure hunt that will promote marine conservation. So it's twofold. It's an augmented reality treasure hunt. So that sounds like fun. You're off seeking and looking for stuff, but it promotes marine conservation. So that sounds like fun. It says to support Ocean Key's dedication to marine conservation, they're going to introduce this unique educational augmented reality treasure hunt. And this is designed for all ages. This is not just for the kids. This is for the kids and us, the adults, everybody. So I think that sounds like fun. You'll be able to use your mobile device or your tablets to take an immersive journey around the island to discover its ecological challenges and the steps that MSC Cruises is taking to address them. So, a lot of people really don't like cruising and they say it's bad for the environment, and I'm not going to fight that, whatever. But, cruise lines understand that because of their footprint, there are things that they need to do. So there are, laws in place and things in place that they're reducing their carbon footprint and things of that nature. So this would be, like it says, fun and educational to learn about that. It says the app, excuse me, will lead players to wooden sculptures around Ocean Key that can be scanned to trigger the AR storytelling function. So that's cool. Through the educational treasure hunt, kids will also be able to learn about species native to the island, including fish, flora, and fauna. So the kiddies can learn about what's native there, and we can learn about the activities that are going on. Exciting, but that's not all. There's more. It says that there will be a Lego pop-up experience that will add interactive family fun. As you know, or maybe you don't know, MSC has a partnership with Lego. That's what's in like their kids area, all the Lego stuff. So at Ocean Key's Welcome Pavilion, families will be able to enjoy a lively Lego activation featuring 7 Lego mascot. This is cute. And the MSC Cruise mascot, Do Re Mi. An interactive experience for children and families. It's not just for kids. The pop-up is designed to help families create memories together on the island. So that's exciting. So what do you think? I think this is really cool. Now, the question always is it free or does it cost? Well, we know it's probably going to cost something, but cost or not, I think this is a great option. We as adults love having options. We don't want somebody to tell us the only thing you can do is this. We want to say you have 4 different options. Which would you prefer? So this just gives us some new options when we're there on the private island. Yes, Tiffy, a treasure hunt and Legos. Yeah, I would do it too. This sounds like a whole bunch of fun. I would love to know your thoughts about this. Have you been on an MSC ship? Have you been to their beautiful private island? And any of these, would that interest you? Yeah, count me in. I am looking forward to getting on my next MSC cruise. I don't know when that will be yet. I think my next cruise could possibly be a Disney cruise, as strange as that might sound, because I've said nothing to anyone, but an opportunity came by email yesterday with my travel agency. And so I'm like, Disney? And I've never been on Disney before, so count me in. Yes. And I put on my TikTok, I went online and I put, tell me all about the Disney Magic, because the Disney Magic is the ship that sails here in Texas. So I already know some things. Of course, when we do our training, when we become travel agents, they make you train, which they should, so that you can know the products that you're selling, right? So the Disney Magic is the oldest ship in the Disney fleet, 27 years old. Now, for us, 27 is not old. That's a young cat. That's a young lady, 27. Oh, I remember the days. But for a ship, 27 is pretty old. So It's the oldest ship in the fleet, but they don't call it old. They call it, vintage. They call it classic. And even though it's the oldest ship in their fleet, they've done, of course, upgrades, upkeep. They've done things to it. And a lot of people, though, they like the classic Disney experience, the classic, think about your very first cruise. As a matter of fact, when was your first cruise? Type it in the comments. What year? Not when, like what year? Put the actual year, like 2021 or 1998, whatever. When was your first cruise? So think about the look of the first cruise, the look of that ship. It probably looks different, unless you just started cruising this year, than your most recent cruise, the look of the ship. I can remember all the glitz and brass and all of that on my first cruise compared to how they do it now. But this is classic Disney. I would love to get on the Disney Magic or any other Disney ship. So I digress, though, but that might be my next cruise. We'll see. We'll see. All right. We have at least gotten started on our first cruise news story. And I'm happy to say it wasn't a terrible one, because some of these stories that I have to share with you tonight, this cruise news, it's heavy. And I don't like it. And I really want to know your thoughts on two of these stories in particular. Kind of deep, kind of heavy, not necessarily the most pleasant. So let's dig into it. I'm going to tell you this first one first. We're headed over to Royal Caribbean. And you've probably already heard the big Royal Caribbean headline stories that are going on. And if you haven't, let me catch you up to speed. A family is suing Royal Caribbean, and the charge is murder, manslaughter, murder. They're suing Royal Caribbean. So it's the family of, let me make sure I say his name correctly. It was a 35-year-old American passenger died while aboard a Royal Caribbean ship. Now, this happened about a year ago. So let's see. Michael Virgil, you might remember this. He took a cruise aboard a Royal Caribbean ship, and he was on the ship not very long at all. I think this happened back in, I'll pull up the right information, but this was not recently. This was nearly a year ago. So Michael Virgil and his family got on their cruise, the Navigator of the Seas, and it was very shortly after they got on the cruise, this was not long, that he began being served drinks. He had the drink package. As we know, you can pay for drink packages, and then there's usually a limit, 15, 23, or maybe there's no limit. I don't know. Each cruise line is different on the amount of drinks that you can have. When I say drinks, alcoholic, right? All right. So we're all up to speed. So a 35-year-old American passenger died aboard a Royal Caribbean cruise ship after allegedly, I have to use those words, being served, and this is what the family is saying, an excessive amount of alcohol. So what the family is saying, you, Royal Caribbean, knew that you were giving him way too much alcohol, and you kept doing it. And because of that, he died. Okay. Let me give you the more specifics of what happened. They have now the family has filed a lawsuit. And this incident occurred, like I said, shortly after the ship set sail. So this is what the lawsuit is saying. The passenger, Michael Virgil, consumed, get this number, 33 alcoholic drinks, not in the whole 7 days of the cruise, just in a few hours after he boarded the ship. 33. Now, to some people that might sound excessive, and to others that might sound like nothing. To me, that sounds wild. If I've consumed 33 alcoholic beverages in the last 20 years, I would be surprised. But 33 drinks he continued to receive, and they continued to serve to him. And they say just hours after the cruise departed. It says here that the bartenders and the staff, the Royal Caribbean staff, could obviously see that he was intoxicated, but the bartenders continued to serve him. Now, I have to say again, he had the drink package. So you pay for this drink package and you can get unlimited drinks. Okay, let's keep going. The complaint further alleges that Virgil became disoriented. So what then happened? He was, completely intoxicated. Anyone who looked at him could see it. And then they decided it's time to go to your room. So they were headed to the room, but he was disoriented. He was so inebriated, so intoxicated. He was disoriented. What occurred was he got off on the wrong floor. And as he was walking down the hall trying to find his room, he got agitated. He began to get upset and he began running through the hallways. He started reportedly chasing other passengers. In this state of confusion that he was in, he started threatening people. And so because of all this noise and him running and threatening, and crew members became involved, right? Crew members then intervened. There is a very viral video, and I don't have it here on the channel, but you can go take a look at it, where you see him just kicking, like almost like trying to kick down a door of a passenger. Okay. So crew members intervened and the situation escalated as they attempted to restrain him. So they eventually used what the family says is pepper spray on him to get him down to the ground. And then they administered a drug into him. It's called haloperidol. This is an antipsychotic sedative. They were trying to sedate him to get him to stop and do all this. Then it says after they got him down, they allegedly pepper sprayed him, restrained him, and gave him the sedative. Then he goes into cardiopulmonary arrest. And despite all of the efforts of the medical team, he was pronounced dead at the scene, dead on board. Okay. So this happened. And now the family is seeking an unspecified amount of damages, arguing that the cruise line failed to prevent the overservice of alcohol to him and that they used excessive force during the intervention. Royal Caribbean has not yet responded to any of these allegations, but that is the story. Now, it's a terrible story. I want to say this. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm telling you what these facts are that we have so far. If you listen to Cruise News or you watch any of my videos, I covered this story. Anybody else who does cruising, Cruise News covered this story. It was a big deal, right? So now, almost a year later, or just over a year later, the family has gotten an attorney and they are suing Royal Caribbean. A couple of things I want to say about that before I get into it, and I see some of your responses. If you actually look at your cruise contract, and I have done a live before that we read a cruise contract, and oh my goodness. And you agree to it when you pay for your cruise. Somebody's like, I never agreed to. You did. When you paid for the cruise and said, yep, to the cruise, you agreed to the contract of the cruise. And the cruise lines make it crystal clear. The liability and the fault. And if anything goes wrong in between that, you're doing arbitration. Okay. You agree to that when you pay for your cruise. Okay. That does not mean that people do not and cannot hire lawyers to sue, because it happens. It does happen. All right. So they have hired a lawyer. They are suing Royal Caribbean. I've told you what they are suing them for. What are your thoughts on this? I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay. I said, that is tragic that he died, but wow, 33 drinks. You need to know your limits. I didn't know that many drinks could be served in a day. Yeah. I was shocked too, because I do know that Carnival has a limit of 15. I'm not sure, without doing my research, what the other cruise lines have, but 33 drinks. Yeah. Now, my question is this, and I really do want to know, is it the fault of the cruise lines over serving him alcohol? Or what responsibility do I, as the passenger or the family, have in this? And I'm asking. I'm not blaming the family, him. I am asking a question. What is our own responsibility as adults going on a cruise? What is it? My family, he was there with a fiance for sure, and other family members. I think if they didn't stop him, if he didn't stop himself, it was then up to the cruise line to not serve him. And cruise lines have gotten a lot of flack for doing that thing. They refusing cutting people off. We have another story we're going to talk about. I want to know. I don't know. Of course, what we've learned as adults here is that it's not necessarily who's guilty or who's not guilty, but it's what can be proved. What can be proved in court. You know, we heard the story of Anna Kepner. You know, it's proven she was murdered on the cruise ship. That's been proven. That's a fact. She did not commit suicide. She did not kill herself. Okay. She did not strangle herself, wrap herself in blankets, get under the mattress of her bed and hide there where she was found dead. She was strangled, asphyxiated on the cruise in the room where her and her stepbrother were the only two people in the room at that time. And then one other brother came in. So that is a fact. She was murdered on a cruise ship. But now the court and the law is going to have to go through the process of proving what happened, who did it, all that. So it's not like he was at fault or she was at fault, but I really want to know for further use, where does the line drawn? Where do we draw the line? What is the responsibility of the cruise line? What is our responsibility and where do they meet? Where do they like clash head to head? Because I know that on land, there's something, and if you know it, please type it down in the comments. Like at a bar, bartenders have some kind of obligation, I think, that if they see you like completely inebriated, that they cut you off. So if that's the case on land, why not the same at sea? Or am I wrong in that? I would love to know, because I don't know if that is 100% true that they cut you off on land, but that's what I thought I knew. And that happened because of litigation again, because bartenders were serving people were getting in their car and DUIs, drunk driving. And so this came about. What about on land? This is terrible. The loss of life is terrible. And then this happens in front of your family. And you know, you're going on a cruise to have a great time. This might have been a bucket list thing. You've saved up money, you saved up the time. You're with people that you love and want to be with. And then this horrible, horrible tragedy happens. This is terrible. I can definitely understand the family. They want answers. They want justice. I don't know how this will end. I will definitely keep you informed about it, but the family is suing Royal Caribbean. Once again, Royal Caribbean has not made a statement as of yet. So today, once again, is December 9th. We will we will hear more about this, because this will also set a precedent. This will set a precedent. What is the cruise line's responsibility? What kind of training do the crew have? So this gentleman is inebriated and he's confused and he's running down the hall and he's kicking the door and people are, you know, he's threatening, and the crew have to do something, right? So what training do they have? What training do these crew members have who are now pepper spraying him allegedly and tackling him to the ground and giving him an antipsychotic? What is their training in this? You know, how are they trained for this? And what member of the crew does this? Is it the laundry staff? Is it the you know, who does it? It's a lot of questions to be answered. There's things that definitely need to be done. Something has to be done. I'm just curious to know your thoughts on this. Yeah. I was telling you, these stories are not necessarily happy, bright stories, but we'll keep an eye on this and continue to give updates as they come out, because this story just came out today. Yeah. My goodness. Anybody ever been on the Navigator of the Seas? Yeah. While we are talking about Royal Caribbean, and I have two more Royal Caribbean stories, let me segue into a story that's a lot lighter, a lot brighter. So Royal Caribbean today gave their announcement of their 2027, 2028. So they're like, almost 2 years ahead of their deployment. So this is exciting because they changed the ships in good, right? New ships come out, and then they reorganize and put those older ships or other ships in different ports so that different areas can have that experience. So that's really exciting. So I was glad to see this. All right. So happier news when it comes to Royal Caribbean. Let me tell you about it. Royal Caribbean has just announced where their lineup of ships will be heading for this, as I said, the 2027-2028 season. So they unveiled 13 different ships across a variety of between 3 to 9 night itineraries. So we're not talking about every Royal Caribbean ship, but they gave us 13 of their ships. So this new schedule will officially begin in April of 2027. Let's see. So the highlight of this, of course, would be the newer ships, right? Or anything that's like really a big change. And their newest ship will be the Legend of the Seas that's coming out. So that's going to begin in April of 2027. So I'm looking forward to getting on any Royal Caribbean ship, but the Legend of the Seas will be fun. So this Legend of the Seas is the new Icon class ship. It will head to Port Everglades for the winter season after it debuts in July of 2026. So to be clear, because I think I said it wrong, the Legend of the Seas comes out next year in 26 in July, my birthday month. So I would love if you're sending any kind of birthday gifts. July is my birthday, and that's when the Legend of the Seas comes out. I would love it. Let's do it. So it comes out in July of 26, but this ship will be moving to Port Everglades. So the brand new Legend of the Seas, that's where it's going to be headed. Let's see. The new deployment also gives us some details about Royal Caribbean's private destination, with cruises featured visiting Perfect Day, Mexico. And that's set to debut in 2027. So I started the show off talking about Carnival, what they're going to do. I'm sorry, hold on one second. I'm sorry. Okay. I didn't start off the show telling you what Carnival's going to do. My notes are mixed. Okay, hold on. That means it's Dr. Pepper time, everybody. I'm getting confused here. Hold on. I have a story. I started off telling you about MSC, what they are doing, but I have an upcoming story to tell you about Carnival, and it's to do with a private island. So as we know, we have a Perfect Day at Coco Cay that belongs to Royal Caribbean, but they are also bringing out the brand new Perfect Day Mexico. It's going to debut in 2027, and also their Royal Beach Club. So additional offerings, as I stated, private lines, private beach clubs owned by the cruise line. Okay, so let me see. Grandeur of the Seas. Let's move on to that ship. Okay, so we talked about Legend, the brand new one. Grandeur of the Seas, it's going to continue to do Latin American home ports, sailing from Cologne, Panama, and Cartagena, Colombia, for the winter season. Okay. Legend of the Seas, which I already talked about, Port Everglades. Allure of the Seas. This is an amplified Oasis class ship, and it's going to split its time between Port Everglades for the summer with 6 and 8 night itineraries, Western and Southern Caribbean. Then the Allure will move to Port Miami in November of 27 for 7 night Eastern and Western. So it's going to split its time. They will add a few new destinations on that sailing there for Allure, of Samana, Dominican Republic, because it already goes to like Williamstad, Curacao, Falmouth, Jamaica, but then they're going to also add Samana. Freedom of the Seas. Let's talk about that one. This will sail year-round from Port Miami, and it's going to offer 4, 5, 7, and 9 night itineraries. They will go to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, and Freedom will also head to Curacao, Aruba, Nassau, and Royal Caribbean. I already said in the Beach Club. I'm sorry, and Perfect Day at Coco Cay, not the Beach Club. So let me say it again. Aruba, Curacao, Nassau, and Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day at Coco Cay. So that's Freedom of the Seas, Port Miami, right? All right. Then we have Adventure of the Seas. It will sail from Port Canaveral. You can have 4, 5, and 9 night vacations. It's going to go to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, to the Royal Beach Club in Nassau and Cozumel. We then have the Enchantment of the Seas. This will operate out of Tampa, Florida, offering 5 and 7 night Western Caribbean cruises headed over to Costa Maya and Cozumel, and that starts in April of 2027. Then, beginning in November of 2027, the ship will switch to shorter 4 and 5 night Western Caribbean sailings. So they're not just keeping them doing just one thing, they're giving us some variety. Which of these so far is your favorite Royal Caribbean ship? We have Grandeur of the Seas. This one will be kicking off its season out of San Juan, Puerto Rico on 7 night Southern Caribbean voyages. And it'll go to cool places like Tortola, St. Martin, St. Lucia. Sounds great to me. And then for the winter season, which will pick up December of 2027, it will then change and go do 7 night adventures on the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, and also Latin American home ports like Colón, Panama, and Cartagena, Colombia. Oasis of the Seas will be out of Port Everglades, beginning in November of 2027. Explorer of the Seas will do 6 and 8 night Eastern and Western Caribbean cruises, also out of Port Everglades, starting in November of 27. Independence of the Seas will operate out of Port Miami during the winter season and spring season. And then Independence of the Seas will offer 4 to 8 night Eastern and Western Caribbean getaways. It'll hit places like St. Thomas, Georgetown, Grand Cayman, and the Royal Beach Club. We have Brilliance of the Seas. She'll sail out of Tampa, Florida, starting in November of 27. And this will offer 7 night warm weather escapes like Belize, Cozumel, Costa Maya. We have Mariner of the Seas. That will leave from New Orleans during the 2027-28 winter and spring season. We have Rhapsody of the Seas. That starts in November of 27, and she will leave out of San Juan, Puerto Rico. And then the final one that they have here is Jewel of the Seas. Beginning in April to November of 27, the Jewel of the Seas will operate out of Port Everglades. So we have Port Everglades, San Juan, Miami, Louisiana, and over in, what was the other place? Over in like Cartagena, Colombia, and Cologne. We have all of these itineraries listed out. 13 different ships for the Royal Caribbean 27-28 season. So as a travel advisor, I have to say, this is the time to start booking. Once they release these itineraries, this is the time when it's best to start booking now. Take a look at what's being offered, find the ideal itinerary that you're looking for, and this is when you're going to get the absolute best prices. Now, when they first offer them, and of course, this is when you're also going to get your pick of the locations, because there are better locations on the ship than others. Every balcony cabin is not the best place to be. Every balcony isn't. There's a sweet spot. So as soon as you find out the new itineraries, if you hear something that you like, get with your travel agent. I would love to help you out if you need that help too, and start booking now. Put your deposits down now so that you can pick your room. As soon as they come out with that, it's the best time. Yes, I believe Royal Caribbean does have some good itineraries. I really like the Southern Caribbean, I guess because I've done so much Eastern and Western. It's time now to go to Europe. It's time now to go to the Med, and it's always time to go back to the Southern Caribbean. I like that. What's your favorite ports? I enjoy the Southern Caribbean a lot. Okay. One of my favorite ports still is Aruba. I really do like Aruba, but man, I've got a lot of them. We're headed to St. Thomas on our next scheduled cruise, and I'm really looking forward to going back to St. Thomas. But at the same time, one of my cruising buddies just kind of ranted about, I will never come back to St. Thomas again. Their service was sucking. They were rude. I'll never come back again. And that just hasn't been our experience at St. Thomas. Has anybody ever experienced that in St. Thomas? I mean, I'm really looking forward to going back there. So I was kind of sad to hear that. Yeah. What's your favorite airport. All right. I'm going to stick with Royal Caribbean because I have another cruise news story to share with you with Royal Caribbean. And this is another one of those heavy stories. This is another one of those stories that's not good now. And I wanted to talk about this because I would really love to hear your take on this. And if I haven't asked you already, please let me know where you're viewing from. Give me that thumbs up. Give me that like, please, please. Thumbs up lets people know, hey, there's a live going on and it's good over here. Come join us. So thumb up, like it. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to talk about the ever popular icon of the seas. Okay. The ever popular icon of the seas, the one that's coming right to Galveston. It was the start of all of the icon class ships, right, for Royal Caribbean, the baby, the one that does it. Okay. What are we going to talk about for the icon of the seas? A passenger outburst. I like that's how they call it, an outburst. An outburst, what does the word outburst remind you of? Let me tell you what it reminds me of. A bad kid saying something that they shouldn't. Once we become adults, certain things we shouldn't do. I don't care. And the way that this is titled outburst, you let me know if this is what you would call it. Let's and there's a video, a very viral video. Wait till after this live is over. Go check it out. I'm gonna tell you about it. A viral video shows a guest throwing a punch at a Royal Caribbean crew member. Let's stop right there. Just put pause on it right there. We already talked about the gentleman who died on the Royal Caribbean ship. Okay. And we talked about the crew. First of all, they're being sued because they overserved him, and then because of the restraints that they used. And it's all pointing a finger at the crew. These hardworking individuals usually from many different, multiple other countries. And most of these people are not trained to be therapists, psychologists, or security. Now, there's certain ones that are security. And they're at work. They're at work making a paycheck, usually to send home to their family who is in a different country than the US. Working hard, working, 12 to 14-hour shifts, staying in very small quarters. These men and women are working very, very hard, and their job descriptions usually are not to pacify outbursts. Yeah. To get in between fighting people. Usually not. But I digress. Because I do think about the crew in these stories. Let me keep going. No, let me back up. So let's say you're at work and somebody takes a swing at you. What are you going to do? Right. Okay. The incident allegedly took place on the Icon of the Seas on a recent sailing. Royal Caribbean's guest policy prohibits such behavior. Well, thank goodness for that. Okay. On board a recent Icon of the Seas sailing, one belligerent guest did exactly that. They fought a crew member. So remember, the article says they're outbursts. Well, it wasn't an outburst. It was a fight. If you throw punches and it connects with skin, it's a fight. And that's what happened. Let me keep going. The crew member, who has not been identified, but appears to be one of the ship's lifeguards. So once again, I'm going to take a pause. I know for a fact that lifeguards' job description is not to take punches. Would you agree? It's not what they're there for. All right. Based on their uniform, they did not return the blow, but they were knocked to the deck. So our happy, fun, loving passenger got on board, and we'll get into more of why we think this happened. And he's upset with the lifeguard, or he's upset with something in his life, and he decides to hit the lifeguard and knock the lifeguard to the ground. Okay. A video of this incident has been posted on Facebook, and it is quickly going viral. It has over 450,000 views, and I'm sure by now double that. The male guest, clad only in swim trunks, so, appropriate, it's the lifeguard, appears to be arguing with another crew member possibly an officer or security guard. So he's arguing with a different crew member with the lifeguard nearby. Some foul language ensues, so you can hear the dirty language, along with minor pushing and finger pointing and other agitation. Then it says the guest just decides out of the blue, he swings out at the lifeguard, then immediately directs another punch at the other crew member. So he's going to beat everybody. He's beating everybody in the way. He don't care. The second crew member reacts defensively and wrestles the guy or the guest to the ground. But then they quickly separate. He gets out of it. They quickly separate. The guest walks off raising a particular finger, it says, and it says, you know which finger he raised along the way. Now it shows that the crew members follow at a discreet and safe distance just to track his whereabouts until they could get the security staff there. It's just under a minute long video. What do you think about this one? You know, people are commenting on the video. Trash behavior, unacceptable. Of course, they are talking about the guest and not the crew member. This could lead to assault charges. And, you know, my opinion, I hope it does. I hope the crew member files assault charges. And I most certainly hope that he is banned for life. I don't want him being my next door neighbor on the cabin. What if he gets upset with me because I got in his way or whatever, or with my mom or my sister or my grandkids? Are you going to punch them too? No. What is going on with people? What is going on with people? Our guard is let down. Maybe the drinks are flowing. I don't know what it is. Or maybe you just like to punch people. I don't know. A cruise is not the place for you. It's not. There's some very funny comments in here. It says some guest said he needs to be keelhauled or forced to walk the plank or simply tossed overboard. That's not the answer either. They're being facetious, but here is the policy that he has violated. It says, if guests violate the policy with throwing punches at crew members, and throwing punches at crew members violates the policy, here are some of the things that can happen. Intervention by the ship's security, yes. Notification of local law enforcement, which may include formal charges, yes. Removal of all your onboard privileges, confinement to one's stateroom or onboard brig, because they have them on the ships, suspension of any loyalty benefits or demoting their loyalty tier, being removed completely from the vessel, in denial of any future boarding on any Royal Caribbean vessel. Yes. Yes. Please. All of those. Well, maybe he can't do all of them, because if you remove them, he can't be in the brig. But yes, don't put up with this nonsense. There's no reason for any crew member to have to put up with this shabby and just, I'm sorry, crappy behavior. And if the cruise lines, as the kids nowadays say, stood on business and they did this relentlessly without hesitation and question, eventually the message would be, would come out. You're not going to go on here and act like, you rule the world and you can just beat people up or act a fool. Stay at home and do that. You can't do that. Get off the ship. You're never allowed to come back on the ship. Suspend their privileges, remove their loyalty, throw them off of there. I don't know who would want this feisty kind of person on the ship. And then, here's the thing. He's arguing with the crew for whatever reason. Do I know the reason? No. But is there any reason that he should be beating up the crew? You tell me. If the crew's, I'm trying to figure out what the crew would need to do that they would need to be beat up, punched in the face. Anyway, he beats them up, walks off and flips them the bird. He's mad at them. And the poor, lifeguard is now punched in the face, and the other, at least the other guy did a defensive move and tackled him to the ground. And then, then he walks off. Guess he couldn't punch them in the face. This upsets me. It makes me, I don't like People like that are just, they're so much of a bummer. They ruin the good vibes for everyone else, and they should be embarrassed. If they're with somebody, their family should look at them and be like, we're disappointed in you, buddy. You shouldn't have done that. I don't know. It ruins the vibe for everyone around. Why was he on vacay trying to fight the lifeguard? Hope he is banned. Yep, me too. Getting fired because going to hit them back. Yeah, exactly. What's your reaction if somebody hits you, or to hit them back? I mean, it's like the reaction, right? So kudos to the lifeguard who did not hit him back. Kudos, because that probably would have just escalated it in some kind of way. The lifeguard would have then been in trouble. But you shouldn't have to worry about getting beat up every day of your job. Just because somebody got upset with you, or can't we work things out in a better way than just fighting and hurting people like that? The answer is yes. Yes, we can. All right. I have one more cruise news story for you. And we'll excuse me. I was like, had a hiccup and a burp at the same time. Excuse me. We're going to end it on a high note. Here is a story about Carnival Cruise Lines that I thought I had shared in the beginning, but not quite. Carnival Cruise Line announces new shoreside village, a growing trend fans say that they want more of. So similar to the Royal Beach Club and the MSC private island expansion that I was talking about, Carnival has decided to do something. Let's take a look. Let's listen to this. Carnival Cruise Line has unveiled plans for Ensenada Bay Village. This is going to be a new shoreside destination in Baja California. It's set to offer cruisers everything from adventure to beach day downtime, just steps from the ship. So let me tell you more about it. This announcement, this is today, the December 9th, comes when cruise lines are expanding not just their fleets, but they're also racing to expand these private islands and these private beach clubs. So, excuse me. Christine Duffy, who is the president, says that this new Ensenada plan follows the same idea as like these other Royal Beach clubs I'm talking about. The project celebrates Baja's culture, it supports the community, and it offers guests memorable experiences. And I'm just gotta throw in my own little 2 cents, and it'll give them another opportunity to make money. Yeah. Renderings of this Baja area. Let's see. Let me see. I didn't pull up any pictures, but let me tell you what Ensenada Bay Village will be offering, because they do have some renderings of it, some pictures of what they're going to offer. It shows a blend of 18th century California style architecture. So that's going to be interesting. And Baja scenery. It's split into 2 main areas, an adventure zone and a village style district with Mediterranean touches. So that sounds really cool, right? A new experience. Once again, we talked about this in the beginning of the video. We want options, right? So travelers can expect things like zip lines, river rides, a scenic boat experience, the Dune Rally attraction, which I don't have all the information for what that is, thermal springs, an adults-only baby beach, spa and wellness spaces, artisan crafts, chocolate and tequila tastings, and wine and cheese pairings from nearby Val de Guadalupe. Cruisers are already talking about it. It says they'll spice things up in Ensenada, give you new offerings in Ensenada, some fresh something to look forward to in Ensenada. I would love to know your thoughts. Have you been to Ensenada before? I think this is great. I have not been to Ensenada on all my Carnival cruises. I have not been there. It says whether Ensenada Bay Village becomes a beloved Baja escape or a made-for-tourist themed village will depend on how Carnival delivers the experience. So there are some people who are saying this is not good. Overcrowding, in the area, just to name a few. But a lot of people are saying that this is going to be good. Now, is it just going to be made up to be a money grab, or is it going to be something beneficial for that economy there, the people there, as well as us as the cruisers, something that we want to spend our time or we want to spend our money on? I don't know. It seems like it could be great. This makes me want to kind of go to Ensenada. Yeah. That Western Caribbean, or sorry, that Western part over there. I've only done one cruise out of the West Coast, and it was a blast. It was a blast, but we did not go to Ensenada. We went to some other fun places, Cabo, all of that. What are your thoughts? Going to Ensenada Bay Village? They're going to do it once they find, and they being the cruise lines, once they find something that'll work, that can make them additional revenue, they're going to do it. I used to complain about going to the private islands. My thought is I want to go to a place, that's on the maps that I can learn the culture, the food, the history, the experience. I don't want to go to this man-made island for them. I'm not going to sit out on the beach and get a tan. I don't want to do that. MSC kind of changed my mind a little bit. Once again, it's about offering us an option. Because, if you don't like the place that you're going on a cruise ship, stay on the cruise and enjoy that. I've done that before, and you can enjoy the cruise ship with so much less crowds and people. It's great. And there's still plenty of activities going on, right? So if you don't like that, you can stay on the ship. But I'm starting to come around to these private islands. I don't want that to be the majority of my, just going to one. I wouldn't want to do that necessarily. I probably could change my mind about that too, because a day on a cruise ship is better than, a day staying at home or going to work. I would do a private island on a cruise. Somebody said, Cynthia, next week, instead of going to work, yes. What? Yes, I would go. But private islands they're growing on me. What are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comments below. Well, I thank you so much. I do hope that if you are watching this live or even on the repeat, that you have already subscribed to the channel. And if you think that you are already subscribed, just go double check. People have told me they've been unsubscribed. Okay. Subscribe to the channel. Please do share this with anybody who enjoys cruising, cruise news. Thank you for supporting me in this. I really enjoy delivering cruising information, cruise news, and I thank you for the support. I feel like you are family to me. Thank you so much. That's it for tonight. I think I've covered everything. I have. It's time to go eat some dinner. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. I've had a great time. All right, I'm going to catch you again next Tuesday. Oh, I didn't show you. You see my little Christmas? I'm going to wear Christmas t-shirts or Christmas shirts all the way up to the holidays, because, how long can you wear them? So it's not an ugly sweater. It's a cute sweater, right? Show me your Christmas sweater. Yeah, put some pictures down in the comments. All right, good night, everybody. I'll see you next Tuesday.